It couldn't have timed out any perfectly. It's the first day of fall, y'all. Happy fall. You made it through a gardening season and you're probably wrapping up your summer gardening and getting into fall. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm gonna do something that I don't know why I haven't done much, but I'm gonna walk you through my entire homestead. So we're gonna do the gardens, the chickens, the bees, the whole nine, and really show you what's going on here and see how we're progressing. I like to do garden tours in the beginning of each season, but why not do the whole thing this time just to see what's going on? And I realized I don't really show you guys my chickens much, which is, I don't know, they're just out of sight, out of mind sometimes. Quick update on our garden project here. This area is cleared out for the most part. We had to get our baby chicks out of here. We do have a little bit right here that they didn't get to, but we can put the big chickens on there for a day and they'll clean them up, or we can just put the garden bed right on top. Before we get started, everybody, I just want to know one thing. If you could, in the comments, let us know what your favorite crop to grow in your fall garden for this year is. For this year, me, it's going to be cabbage. It's not really that big a deal. It's not like they're gonna grow up through the garden bed or anything, but I just like to do it. Makes me feel better, gets that manure in there and gets it primed. And then once we get this one built, which I'm gonna do on YouTube, then we're gonna come back and we're gonna start this process for this side. So we're gonna put in 2 beds this winter. Well, 1 bed this fall, 1 bed this winter. Tomatoes are coming back, which is good. These are our second planting of Roma tomatoes. They've gotten a little out of control, but now that we're getting cooler weather now, it's starting to come back and we're starting to harvest more. You can see I've got a bunch over here to get. This row right here, we're actually gonna pull up and we're gonna put our fall lettuce in this spot here. So I need to get through and weed this really good, get it going, and then once my seedlings are ready, I can just plop them right in and then we can move on. Second planting worked and one didn't. What can I say? It is what it is. Not everything's always perfect, especially when you're dealing with plants and animals and stuff like that. And you just got to roll with the punches. This is the Brussels sprout bed, and I'll walk you around to the other angle in a second, but this bed has been really difficult for us to use in the fall because it gets the least amount of sun, well, second to least amount of sun. And we've got our tomatoes here, which are shading, and we can clearly see what's going on here. So like you can see this one Brussels sprout's doing really good, nice size, and look what's right in front of it, a collapsed tomato plant. So it's getting all that sun, and we can see that going through here. So this is one of those things where it's just trial by error. We're gonna go through probably, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Ultimately, what I'd like to do is remove these tomato plants, and I'm gonna go ahead and get all the harvest I can off of them. But if I don't get a lot, or if it seems like there's more green tomatoes coming, then I'll definitely leave them. But at some point, they're gonna have to come down so we can get more of that sunlight back there, because this second half of the bed is really not doing much, and that's just totally lack of sun. We've made it through multiple warm spells. You know, now we're down, I think this week we're in the low 80s. And by the way, I'm in zone 8A in North Carolina. So right now it's in the 60s at night. Low 80s, really good fall weather temperatures for these plants, nice and warm so they can get good growth, and we just need to take advantage of that. But these Brussels sprouts, they're gonna be the death of me, I'm telling you. Not really gonna kill me, but I'm not gonna give up. I'm determined, and sometimes you just gotta get determined and you gotta try until you crack that code, and I'm going to crack this code. It doesn't matter how many times I fail publicly on YouTube and on the Backyard Gardens podcast. I'm going to continue to do it until I start to get full harvest, and then it's going to be a good day. See, our cabbage bed's doing fairly well. The cucumbers are done. They are just done. No more, and we can move on. I do have some smaller plants below, but they're not going to produce. We put them in too late. I'm probably going to end up removing them just because, I mean, you can see on there, they're starting to collect the squash beetles, so I don't want them to proliferate inside of my garden. So I'm probably gonna come through and remove that. And this will be a good place to do another round of peas at some point, which there's more about peas in a second. But these did pretty good. The sunshade really helped. I've got a volunteer tomato, which I'm not even gonna pull up. The frost will kill it. And when the frost kills it, honestly, these cabbages are just going to take over. And you can see we did have damage from the cabbage worm, but we started treating again, and they've all pushed new, or we treated and then we fed, and they've all pushed new growth. So we're in the upward swing of that battle. Now, this isn't a battle that you want to rest easy on, I'm here to tell you. This is the time of year where the cabbage worm comes out in full force. I basically have a buffet out here for them, and we just got to stay on top of them and keep moving forward and treat. And I'd use organic treatment. I spray BT on it, which is an organic treatment method, and it does work pretty well. So if we come over here to the tunnel, the first arch, this is all one plant. Every single bit of this is one plant. It starts there, and it has just exploded all the way up, all the way down, and all the way over here. It's crazy. It's just really taken off. And I mean, I'm looking at it now, and I didn't think I was gonna get anything, and this is great news. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pumpkins on here. So this is a Seminole pumpkin, and this is where the peas come in. At first, this Seminole pumpkin grew up and stopped here, and I wasn't really sure what was gonna happen. And then I came and I planted some peas down below, and then the Seminole pumpkin exploded in growth. And I don't know, we're just gonna kind of let it go, and hopefully it'll start to die back, and then these peas can take over. I don't know what's gonna happen. This is my first year growing a Seminole pumpkin, and I did not expect anything like this to occur. It's good to know, because being that it loves the heat, which I want to focus on stuff that loves heat, especially with the summer we just went through and everything, we know that we can plant this and we know what to expect. And we also know that we can hold back on planting as soon and give it a little bit more time. But the peas underneath, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a done deal. So we'll see what goes on with that. And then under this arch here, we just have our black-eyed peas. Which we've been harvesting continuously off of. These are an awesome crop to grow. It's a good protein source, a little bit of fat, and very prolific at the end of summer. This is kind of what I end up wrapping up my summer with typically. Typically, it's going to be black-eyed peas, or some people call them cow peas, and then the butternut squash, which we have switched from this year and gone to Seminole pumpkins. Depending on how we like the taste, you know, those are the two things that really wrap up our summer as far as summer harvest goes. If our green beans had done well, that would be on the list too, but not this year. It's kind of sad. But this is just one side of the trellis was planted, and you can see same thing, it just grows right on over. And it's almost touching the ground over here. I did put some more peas underneath here. I believe I put a Wando pea underneath, and they haven't germinated. I don't know what the deal is here. It's not a high germination area on this side of the trellis, but we have enough here to go for now, so I'm not overly concerned about it. And I am really pleased with the way this arch has been producing. Now, if we come over to this bed, this is the broccoli bed, and we did have some significant issues in this bed. If you've been watching the channel for a while, I had sunshades up all over my garden. I've since taken them down. The first row had basically burnt up, so we replanted it. And then we got this cabbage worm, which loves broccoli. And then we put in there, and I'll show you in a second just how much damage they can do in a matter of 2 days. That's it. And this is kind of a futile effort on my part, but I gotta give it a try. You can see here that we started with, I think it was 21 plants, and we're down after we planted, I don't know, let's count. 1, 2, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 right now that I'm pretty sure, if nothing goes wrong, is gonna produce another 2 or 3 that may or may not. And then this is what happens in 2 days with the cabbage worm. You can't even see it, but it's just there. Now, I'm gonna leave it there. 2 reasons. One, I don't have a plant to put in its spot. And two, I want to see if it'll grow another leaf. If I can get one leaf to grow, I can get a harvest off of it. The fact that there's no leaves on it is going to make it pretty tough, but we're going to shoot it with some fertilizer. We're going to inject it soon, and then hopefully that'll give it enough just to pop out one leaf. It may be a futile effort, but it's worth a shot, and we'll see what happens. And this is what gardening is all about. It's all about trying sometimes, getting a little bit unorthodox, being a little bit hopeful, and just giving it a shot, see what grows and what doesn't grow. Now, the wild garden, let's look at this bad boy. And I don't know if bad boy's good or bad in this one. We'll find out. I've been working on the weed bank here. As you can see, I've got a nice clearing here. I need to come out and just cut all the dead out of it. But the pepper bed is in fact coming back to life now that we're getting cooler temperatures. And this always seems to be the case. It always seems to come back in the cooler temperatures. So we're going to be getting a harvest soon, and I need to come out, and this weed has been super pesky this year. I don't know why it keeps coming, but I just need to come out here and pull it all. And if you get it before it drops the seed, then you can pretty much stay on top of this one. It's not as bad as some others. The eggplants are, I just haven't had a good eggplant year. And I think it's because of the variety I chose, and I switched and I shouldn't have. For years, I grew an Ichiban type. I think I'm saying that right. Ichiban type eggplant, and they were very prolific. But these bigger ones, that's the round eggplants, I just have not had good luck with those the past couple of years. So I think next year I'll go back to the Ichiban just so we can get the production. I prefer to eat the more round, you know, the Black Beauties. Fairy Tale's a good one that we've had some luck with before. I like those because they're easier to use in recipes and stuff like that, the way we like to eat them. But the Ichiban are so productive that it's kind of, we may be able just to kind of sacrifice what we like for what we need. And that's kind of a big lesson that I like to learn as well. It took me a while, but it is what it is. This bed back here, this is a compacted bed. All of these beds are compacted, but this one is compacted, and we've got some stuff growing in it. So this in the middle is all daikon radishes. Then we've got a couple collards in the back. We had Hurricane Idalia came through and washed out from here to here in the back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through, and these collards here, whatever is clumped together, I'm gonna try and space out. We've got some rain coming this weekend, and that way they can naturally get rained, and we'll do that. And then I came through and I replanted the carrots, and you can see that they are in fact germinating all the way down that row. And this row here is parsnips, and I'm not sure if this is a parsnip or not. I don't want to mess with it. Yeah. So here's a parsnip that's coming up. You can see, hopefully the rest of the row will pop when it's time. Parsnips are notoriously slow to germinate, and the seeds do not last more than a year. I came out here at a pack of seeds. They got washed out. I replanted the pack. I just sowed them super heavy. I'll clear them out. There's no need to save them because they just do not germinate well the second year. And then we can move on from there. This bed back here was a tomato and pepper bed. And we cleared the tomatoes out. I've come out and I had 4 mustards in, and you can see 2 of them have made it thus far. Again, the hurricane just kind of washed it out. We had a little bit of pooling right here from all the rain. So that was kind of an issue. And then it washed out our carrot seeds. So we came back and replanted our carrot seeds. And you can see that they are germinating. These pepper plants are not doing well. We're probably going to end up just pulling those so we can get all the sun we can back into these carrots and just get them really growing as fast and hard as possible. And then this bed was our tater bed. And we came in and we've got some carrots. So we've got 3 rows of carrots here. You can see them germinating as well. And that's good. Now this is going to pose an issue. Well, first of all, this is. But these lima beans are going to pose an issue as far as sunlight, because the sun comes and tracks this way in my yard. So once we get, if I stand right here, once the sun gets here, that's it, we're done. And now the sun's also getting lower in the sky, which means we're not getting as much sunlight back here, which is typical for this time of year. But we're gonna come through and harvest what we can out of here in probably a week. You can see we've got some lima beans on here. Just take the L and then pull them up, and then maybe we'll just put a whole another row of carrots in and let them finish up the year. There's nothing wrong with staggering your plantings, keeping it going. And as far as the lima beans go, once we get those to dry on the vine, because that's how I think I'm going to harvest them, just let them dry on the plant and then basically consume them. If my family likes them, we're probably going to get a standard lima bean and plant it on a trellis next year and just enjoy it that way, the way God intended it to be grown. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it. Now I come over here to our container garden, and it's a hot mess. This year we had stuff growing in here, did really well. The weeds took over the smaller pots, and the bigger pots did just fine. So we're now just gonna use big pots like these 3 in the back. And I have some cabbage plants I just stuck in there. And we're actually gonna move this. I gotta get a dolly because these get pretty heavy, but I'm gonna move them over by the greenhouse and I'll show you why. But we're gonna fill these up, let these cabbages grow, and then just enjoy them. And since they're in the container, I can go ahead and move them. They won't get as much sun. I don't know, I have to really pay attention to where it's gonna be. Right here it gets decent sun, but again, this time of year it's lower in the sky. And we may be able to move them so they get more heat. Seems kind of crazy that we're looking to move them to get more heat, but we're gonna utilize what we have in our area. And I'll take you over here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over by the greenhouse, and I'm going to take advantage of the panels on the outside of the greenhouse. Seems kind of crazy. Let me weave my way through the tunnel here and show you what's going on back here. So we've got a little bit of overgrowth here, quick trim, not a big deal. And we're probably gonna take those pots and line them up on the outside of this greenhouse. And then the thought process is as the sun comes through the windows, it'll actually warm the plant in the winter time earlier in the day. And then we can kind of get a little jump start. And you know, once you get that heat in the morning and you get things warming up, you actually get it to grow better. I don't know, this stuff grows everywhere. I think it's a sumac. I'm not sure, but once we put it down and we put the pots down, we don't have to worry about them anymore. So it's not a big deal. And this is a really big unused space. Seems kind of crazy. And I've thought about putting a garden right here, but this is actually the best patch of grass I have, and I kind of enjoy it. So I'm not gonna put a garden there. I just kind of want to fill up this area with those pots and see how they grow and they make it better. I actually have 3 other ones that aren't filled up yet, and we may do a little switching around, but where the other container garden is, we plan to make that a wildflower bed over the winter. So we're just gonna kind of keep our eye on that. And if we come over here to this garden bed, you can see that this is our rutabaga bed. And I came out here and mulched it the other day, and it's funny, as soon as I mulched it, all the plants stood up and just did way better. So they're all growing at their own pace, and this was seeded first, second, third, and then fourth. And we're just kind of working our way through. Once the leaves fall off the tree, we will get more sun back here, and then these will grow a lot faster. But as of right now, it looks like we're definitely on the way to producing a couple, probably 10 to 12 rutabagas from here over. And then from here, it's just, we're gonna have to wait and see. I don't know how they're gonna produce. I'm still kind of working on this bed. Fall is a really difficult time for this bed and that bed. But if we can get it all going in the right direction, we should be good. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. You don't know, we never know, but I did want to just do a solid bed of rutabaga, and hopefully we can pull them all up. I'd say around December, we should start really harvesting most of them. So, I mean, we've got a bit of time to go, but then once we get them up, we can just put this bed put this bed to bed. That's a tongue twister. And I don't know why it's a tongue twister. It shouldn't be. But we're going to start working in that direction. And I really do want to put some of these beds to bed for the winter, mulch them, amend them, and then get them so that in the spring they're just prime and ready. Let them sit for about a month or two, and then they'll be good to go. Bees are growing actually, and if you can tell all the bees flying in and out, that is what a mini honey flow looks like, or nectar flow. We're getting into the goldenrod season. I'll bring you around to the front. You can see there's a lot of activity, just bees coming in and out. So they're starting to produce, and they're actually putting a lot of pollen in. I see bees right now coming in with pollen. So, and I mean, their sacs are full right now, which is good. So they're doing well. Everybody's growing. Everybody seems to be happy, and we're going to try and keep them that way. Tell you what, you can't force a bee to do anything it doesn't want to do. And that's something that I suggest everybody remembers. If you ever want to get into bees, when they're ready to do it, they're going to do it. That's just how it is. Now, if we come back here to this area, we've got some seed trays that I've filled up, and I haven't planted anything in them yet. We're getting ready to plant our bok choy in them, but we're supposed to get some rain this weekend. These are nice and moist right now, so we may go ahead and just put the seeds in it, get them started, and let them take off. But this is the second wave of planting for fall, or the final wave for fall before we start doing our winter sowings. And we're going to test out growing onions a little bit earlier this year, so we'll see how that goes. As promised, we have our chickens back here, which are moving along. We've got them separated right now. So you can see our babies are in here getting acclimated to the flock, or as I like to call them, the colony. Hi, Flapper. And we just have it separated right here. We just got something rigged up. Easy to pull down, easy to pull up. They can see each other, but they can't argue amongst each other and peck at each other, which is good. And this old gal here is very loud. Oh, you wanted to talk earlier? Tell him. Tell him. No dice? Now that you got attention? All right. She's a loud chicken. I don't know why she's loud, but she is. She's just got something to say, always. Always got something to say. It's just like my son, always, never fails. So there's a lot going on here. And then coming up soon, we're going to lay out the layout. Yeah, lay out the layout for the upcoming pollinator garden build. I've got everything cleared out of it, so we're gonna start marking that out so we can get stuff going and really start moving forward. This is the time of year. Spring and fall should be your busiest times of year in your garden. And we're gonna get more into that in an upcoming video, but just remember, you can plant just as much, if not more, in fall than you can in spring, which seems crazy, but we're expanding now and we're talking vegetables and flowers and everything else. And fall is actually the best time to plant, especially in the warmer areas where it doesn't get as cold and stay cold and doesn't freeze as much. You can really get some super growth going on and get a jump start on for next year. And that's what it's really gonna be all about.